Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Hello.
And Sir Sam Williams.
I'm not having the Sir chat now. It's not over to me. But by the way, congratulations, Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Father again.
Father of two now, which is quite scary and quite tiring.
Was it a week ago?
1 week today, yeah.
1 week.
Well,
How's sleep?
yeah.
How's sleep getting on? Just a quick welfare check on you.
I would moan that my sleep wasn't good enough, but if my wife ever listened to this podcast, I think she would fucking murder me in my sleep for hearing that, because hers is a lot worse than mine. So
She doesn't listen to this.
no, she's never listened to it, so we're all good. No, sleep's awful. It's absolutely terrible. Can't get a wink. But no, it's all good. It's all very exciting, and little Millie Mills is doing just fine. She's got a name like a rock star already. So.
And it's on a Mackenzie bag. Probably the youngest child ever to be born with a name on a Mackenzie golf bag. I think 3 days old when that came around.
When it landed, yeah.
Yeah.
So a while ago. So just waiting for it to land with a name on. So just a quick note for our sponsors. How are we all doing for our Virtuo?
No, I'm not having this. No, not having this. Come on, we don't labour these points.
Come on, I've just finished.
I'm caffeined up to the eyeballs.
Yeah, I've had one cup.
I can pod on 2 coffees. 3, I've got palpitations. So I think we're in the sweet spot today.
Perfect. And we need to talk about a few different bits and bobs today, including
ready to take some shots.
With Bay Hill. What are you going to shoot at? Just bowl in, wait.
Just gonna wait and see what comes out of our mouths, or.
Yeah, I don't want to take it out of sequence. You've obviously opened with a horribly broad question there. How was Bay Hill? What do we think to Bay Hill? But I think that's about as exciting a golf tournament as you could hope for, in which Shambo emerges on top, because, you know, I've probably not made it any secret over the last few months that I don't find him the most endearing character in professional golf at the moment. But like, you know, seeing him, you know, sweat out a 5.5 footer on the last to clinch it over Westwood, who is still playing some unbelievable golf at the age of 48 and has been, you know, a kind of stalwart of European Tour golf over the last couple of decades, is just incredible. So I enjoyed it. From what I saw, I thought it was a fantastic tournament. Really exciting Saturday. Spieth again, like, that's a narrative that it's exciting seeing him return to form. And then McIlroy having a bit of a meltdown. Okay, a bit disappointing, but seeing him chop 2 drives into the water on the 6th just kind of took the pressure off our return to golf in a couple of weeks.
We could have probably done a full debrief pod on it, but it felt like the whole event was played out so heavily through Instagram and Twitter that, you know, kind of we're all up to date on what happened. But, you know, we're going to look ahead to the players, no doubt, in a bit. But it was fascinating. And I think for everyone that sits there over the weekend, you know, keyboard warriors tapping away angrily about ball rollback and technology and bifurcation and God knows what, you got to admit, it was bloody entertaining watching Bryson.
It was great fun.
I mean, it was awesome. Like, you know, my wife was in the room and she was like, that's absolutely incredible. She would never comment on anything linked to golf. Nothing ever. And she was like, that's amazing. That's incredible. Like, and you can see the aerials and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm going to go on a limb here. Brand Bryson, I think, has gone up in stock. Stock's gone up there heavily.
That's interesting, because you were a big advocate of rollback. I mean, I'm pretty sure even in that podcast we recorded last week with Ed Cartwright,
I'm not sure I am a rollback guy. No, so I'm not having that.
What do you think of the stuff about the ball then?
I'll ask the question. But, you know, I'm not sure I am a rollback guy. I actually really am not. I'm not 100% sure. I'm definitely not a bifurcation guy. But I do sit there and think it does get a little bit daft and in watching the courses they play on, but it was mightily entertaining watching Bryson absolutely smoke one still.
Sam Williams,
it was
the social comedian. He's a complete chameleon. Depending on who he's with, he completely changes his.
Yeah.
If he's with a woke architect, it's like, oh, we should roll them. The ball should only go.
I agree with you, Mike Clayton. I agree with you, Mike. I think it should be
Ball's
Simon
going
Woods
too
and
far,
Bellatas only.
Yeah. Watching Bryson on a Saturday, he's like, no roll back, just hit as far as you like.
I think we should have 700cc drivers. I think we should just go all out.
Doing med ball slams in his living room whilst necking three pints of coffee, just getting up for it. Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to talk about a few obvious things like Bryson's drive on the 6th.
Which one?
The one, well, both on the Saturday and Sunday when it was downwind, and he said he'd go for it, and he kind of went for it, but he didn't go literally balls deep. He just just went for it. Was it just an exercise
on this pod, Thomas?
Was it just an exercise in ego? Because it actually, both times he did it, he ended up in a position where it was actually more difficult than if he'd taken a normal route to the hole. So was it just a complete exercise in brand and ego?
Hell yes. No. And no, of course it was. I mean, I think he made birdie both times he did that. He would have made birdie almost certainly both times he did. Stuck 3-wood, 60 yards right of target, almost certainly. The guy per Trotty post US Open Winged Foot roundup, watching him do his thank you speech at the end, which was albeit a bit cringeworthy. The guy is very aware of marketing and his brand, and I think he went into that very consciously knowing this is an opportunity to turn a few haters over, and he did it. Like, fair play. I'm still not a massive Bryson fan, but I'm warmer to him now than I was pre-Bay Hill, and I wouldn't underestimate the value of marketing and stuff, and the fact that a bit of ego there and the arms in the air. It was a bit of a game changer for him as a brand more than it was the tournament.
I wouldn't overstate that point though, because I know you say, well, he was kind of short-sighted with his pitch shots, and he would have been fine if he'd have just been 60, 70 yards further right. But the way that hole plays, I think strategically it makes sense that he was, taking the line that he did. Now it's a risk because if he caught it low on the face or he didn't carry it far enough, he was going in the water, and it wasn't like he was comfortably making it. Like the one on the Sunday cleared it by more, I think, but it was heavily downwind, and in fact, he even put up a video in his practice round, I think, of him not being able to carry it. It wasn't as windy, granted, but I think that's a big risk to take for someone who is as obsessed with winning as he is. Like, it's a big risk to just take it on that line to think, well, I'm in the lead here, tournament's on the line, I'm just going to go for it anyway. It did make the hole significantly easier taking on that line, because if you went even the route that like Rory and some of the others were taking, 50, 60 yards further right, and you pushed it, well, then you were in a tricky spot, and you were going in with 7-iron, 6-iron, whatever it was. So, yeah, I think it's pretty gutsy in the moment that he's had to carry it like
that's a good
340. Yeah, fair play to the guy.
Both times he did it, both times with his second shot, he didn't hit the green. So from I think they were both 80-ish, 70, 80 yards away. But he's put himself in a position where he's unable to hit the green with his second shot. Or not unable, but he'd made it difficult for himself to hit the green.
He couldn't hit it close, yeah. But
no, he missed the green because for the second day he spun off, right? And the second day he just pitched it right up because he's playing.
But this is what I'm saying. I think, I mean, yeah, if the exam question is only just play the right strategy on the hole, I don't think Bryson would have done it. It's back to that point about proving a point and running his. I disagree. Well, I mean, I'm happy to have conflict on the Cookie Jar podcast here, but don't forget, he went out. He probably felt the wounds of the Masters last year when he went out and said, "This is a par 68 for me, so I've got to go out and bring the heat, and I'm going to win this all day long." That would have definitely scarred him. And then he kind of ran his mouth again at Bay Hill and said, "I'm going to take this on." When you do that, you've made it harder to walk back to a 3-wood up the right-hand side, haven't you? I'm pretty convinced that if his life depended on making 4 on that hole, he would not take the route he did.
But do you think Cobra, looking at this now, he's running his mouth. He says, I'm going to do it, bang it over this bro, straight over the top. Look, I'm a big lad. Do you think Cobra is sitting there with their checkbook in hand going, I think we need to pump these numbers up a little bit?
Back to the Darrell Evans pod. You can buy insurance on these wins, can't you? So why wouldn't Cobra want to take out some insurance against that? Like, this is massive, massive marketing for our brand and for our products. Bryson, you're in a position to win, but we want you to take this thing on. I'm just speculating here, right? So this is pure armchair conjecture, as you would call it, Bruce. But
Sam Williams at his very best.
Whoa, hang on. But if you go back and listen to the Darrell Evans thing, you look at the insurance stuff around whether players win or don't win and the fact they can offset the different outcomes. All of a sudden, the potential there for Cobra to weigh in on strategy within the game is not impossible. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but if they're like, do you know what, this is like a massive deal for us, probably the best marketing they'll get in the next 10 years at that moment. We want you to take it on. And by the way, Bryson, we'll insure your prize money if you don't win.
Yeah. No, I could believe that. I don't think it's as mad conjecture as you were caveating it at the start. But I do, yeah, my point about strategy is that it is fundamentally easier to hit a green from 80 yards or 40 yards or 50 yards, however far away he was, than it is from 180 with a better angle. Like, that's just the brutal truth of it.
Counter that. It's not as easy when you're in 4-inch thick rough with an 80-yard shot over a bunker when behind front to back green, and it's running into water.
Well, you don't think it's as easy to hit the surface?
No, the surface they're landing on is like glass, and it's running away from them pretty fast.
Compared to an 8-iron or whatever it would be from 180, 190 yards.
I think we're getting buried in the weeds of it all, but I think you can agree or disagree on the.
Don't admit defeat. Don't admit defeat.
I mean,
okay, we'll both walk away.
If anyone wants to pick
honorable.
up with this argument with Bruce, we'll put his phone number on the Instagram story, and you guys can just he'll talk about it as the cows come home. I mean, it is Players Week, and we are going to have to move to that, but there's other things from Bay Hill we just can't walk by.
Yes.
Westwood, Spieth, McIlroy. A few hot takes on that, I think, guys.
Yeah, I want to start with, because we're on the 6th. Let's talk about McIlroy's double dunk eagle, sort of double bogey on that 6th. How good was that? I mean, I think he had a bit of an ego thing going on, because on the Saturday, Bryson did that drive, and I think he was one group in front of McIlroy, and everyone's like, whoa, and then it was 370 yards, and then McIlroy steps up with no fanfare and just knocks it 361, just like 9 yards shorter.
But it wasn't on the same line, though, was it?
No, it was a different line. He wasn't taking on the big Mac Daddy line. But the drives were pretty much comparable. And then so obviously the second day, he's now in a group in front of Bryson and just overdrew it both times. And it was like dunk. And then he's 5 off the tee, and then third ball eagle.
It's back to the frustration for me, though, with McIlroy. It's not symptomatic of those 2 shots. It's the frustration of watching him when it gets down to the wire. And you just knew he wasn't going to roll out you just knew he wasn't going to knock 64 in and walk it in. Yeah, it's so hard to watch on a tournament level. I can't understand why it's so difficult. Well, no, I'm not saying it's so difficult to win, but it's such a painful experience watching him go out when he's in contention.
He's just a top 5, top 10 machine at the moment, isn't he? I mean, take out Riviera, where his cut streak came to an end, and he just had a very uncharacteristic missed cut there, and was never really in the tournament. Again, it's like WGC at concession. He's right there Saturday and Sunday, doesn't really do much. And Bay Hill again was the same story, really. Like, shoots 4 over in the final round, which maybe isn't actually that bad given how tough the conditions were. On the final day, it's probably middle of the pack.
But this
in terms of the final scoring day average, but it's just, I know what you mean. Totally agree.
This is the eternal problem with McIlroy, because now we're going to start talking soon about the players' picks and Masters, and we're getting right into the major season. And yeah, I can't help but fancy McIlroy to win either of those 2 tournaments. And yet, experience tells me, watching it every time we roll out and talk about this stuff, the guy looks hopeless at winning at the moment. That's the frank kind of armchair conjecture opinion that you're kind of getting from it. But then you think, well, he's actually technically the defending players champ, because obviously last year it was cancelled, and will he go on to win? I don't know. Like, you kind of think it's almost written in the stars in some respect, because it's the way of silencing the critics. I don't know. Another British, I say British hopeful is the wrong term, but another Brit bit painful to watch on Sunday was, of course, was it Saturday? In fact, Justin Rose pulling out, right in contention, bad back. I thought that was a bit of a shame. Interesting
that it left Spieth being on his own. He could just chat his way around the golf course. It was he was just there. He stood over every shot. Literally, the commentators love it when he comes on, because they just don't talk. They're like, okay, let's listen in. And it's just
his interactions with Grella.
He just talks at Grella, though, doesn't he? He just talks completely at him.
He's such an endearing guy, though. I mean, I can't think of a more popular player on the PGA Tour at the moment, or not. Maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but someone who'd be a more popular winner amongst fans and players as well, I guess, is the right way of expressing it. Because, he just seems to wear his heart on his sleeve. He's so vocal and animated. Obviously, he's going through an incredible run of form at the moment. Not managed to notch a win, but he's making
he can't
holes
hit the planet off the tee. He literally cannot hit the planet off.
He can go through spells of knocking it down the middle, but he's just got a real wide ball in there. But again, that's not really new. At Birkdale in 2017, he was carving it miles right and then going on to win. So I
saw someone summed him up.
See him back. Yeah,
I saw someone summed him up as saying Spieth is more savvy than Mickelson, and I thought that was a pretty good summary of Jordan Spieth's golf. His, like you say, the interactions, his feedback, the commentary that you get on course from him, so authentic. And that Saturday round it goes down in history as one of the most outrageous things to watch. Certainly, the front nine was literally beyond belief what he was doing.
And people say,
and you say it's so endearing.
What people say is, it's like, he can't keep this going. Like, statistics don't lie. And it's like, I probably get absolutely slaughtered by the likes of Lou Stagner and Scott Force on it. But, there are just moments where he does kind of put two fingers up to the statistics when he needs to. And it's like, he's in contention. And is that luck? Is that just some, I don't know, kind of, is it divinely ordained? I guess no one really knows, but it's just incredible that when he's in contention and he's struggling to hit the golf course at certain parts of the round on Saturday, he holes his tee shot on the second and then buries a 40-footer on the 9th or the 10th hole, just across the green, downhill. It's like, what on earth?
Where's that come from?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something about Jordan Spieth. I think, right, so obviously the inner workings of the World Golf Ranking is literally impossible to understand. Only full-on Bryson geniuses understand it. But I'm pretty much
Bryson's not a genius. Just putting that out there.
I'm confident that if the rise in rankings of Spieth go in the last 5 events, 92 in the world, 69, 62, 61, 52. I think if he makes the cut, he's probably odds on for breaking the top 50 in the world, which would be the first time he's done that since February 2020. So he's looking like he's about to, if he makes the cut, get back into the world top 50, which of course is a huge marker for what these guys can do, what they can go to, and where they can play. So hopefully he does it. I hope he does it. I'm a convert. I like Spieth. I think, we all
shows you the power of the underdog, doesn't it? It does. Yeah. It's really hard to root for Jordan Spieth when he was winning on demand, like almost every time he teed it up. Was it 2015, 2016? Those were insanely good years, weren't they? In Camp Spieth. And we can't. You could root for him, but you couldn't root for him the same way. Now, I would give a kidney to watch Jordan Spieth win a tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the power of the underdog.
How many kidneys have you given away?
I don't know.
What about Westwood? Should we just talk about him for a second? I have to say, I'm just going to open it with in a slightly unorthodox manner. I guess he's always been known as just a class act, and the interview that he gave with the PGA Tour after the Sunday round, the final round on the Sunday, I should say, was incredible, because I've never heard such an appalling sequence of questions asked of a guy who finished one back at the age of 48. Oh my word. I'd urge you to go and check it out on YouTube. It's it's just abysmal. Like
is it
state of
heinous?
the, yeah, it's so bad. Like first question is like, well done, Lee, you know, fantastic second place finish or something like that. You know, tell us what was it like playing with Bryson? You know, maybe that was the first time you kind of seen it in person. Is it as impressive to watch it on the way around? And obviously, you know, gives a really nice answer, just saying, yeah, it's great to watch him hit the ball so far. Actually, you know, on a windy day like today, it was really good to see him hit knockdown iron shots. That was impressive as well. Then the next reporter says, you know, what were your thoughts when he took it over the water on the sixth? Okay, here we go. He's answering another question about Bryson. Then someone says, when you see a guy like Bryson win, Lee, do you think it's time to you know, maybe change the golf courses? Where does the answer come in terms of like allowing people to compete? And he's like, well, you know, like I'm 47 and you know, I've shown today I can still compete doing it my way, and I put my arms up on, and literally again and again and again, people were asking him questions that were not related in any way at all to him, his own performance, how he's like, you know, undergone an incredible kind of renaissance really in his own game over the last year or 2 years or so. Just appalling interviewing from the PGA Tour. They were all just kind of getting a circle jerk of Bryson DeChambeau and trying to grab up, you know.
You can't have a go at me for my language and you use circle jerk. I mean, I'm just going to say
okay, maybe
not taking
that one out. Maybe bleep that one out. But I think the sentiment is right, though. It's like, come on, everyone. Let's get Lee Westwood as well, who's a bit of an outside from the European Tour. And we'll ignore the fact that he's just played a great round of golf or a fantastic week of golf. And we'll get him in this sort of like little press room and talk about how great Bryson DeChambeau is. It's like, show the guys some
soundbite fishing. They're just fishing for sound bites. And I think the good thing is he seems to be at the same level with the media and the same as way as with his golf game. It's like zero fucks given. So he's in a unique position on tour, which makes him quite hard to play against because he's playing genuinely without fear now. There's no concern over consequence. Seems that way, yeah. And I think that really does. It must be so liberating for him. I know he's talked about it when the media have asked him about his own game. In the infrequent case that does happen. And being able to play without fear is, you know, a pretty nice feeling, I can imagine.
But looking at some stats, I mean, so, you know, I like my stats. Like Westwood in strokes gained, I mean, he's second, and these things are always indicative of how you finish. But in terms of strokes gained, like he was so consistent throughout the whole game. It was like top 10 in everything apart from putting, which he was 37th. And that doesn't really usually happen because you get someone like Bryson, he was like, dominated strokes gained tee to green, dominated strokes gained off the tee, and then was a bit, you know, it was like 30th in around the green and 21 putting and 54th in sand saves and stuff like that. But Westwood just looked so consistent across all aspects of his game. And if he was 37th in strokes gained putting and he was one shot back, you know, you just need one more to drop, don't you? And I thought he was so good, so solid, so composed. And it's not easy when, I know, going back to Bryson, but it's not easy when Bryson is taking that 370-yard line and that huge fanfare that went on around it just to go, okay, well, I'm going to go now my normal route. I'm going to block
crazy. And you watched him tee it up after Bryson did that. It looked like he was playing a different golf hole all of a sudden. Yeah. It was almost teeing off at right angles.
Well, they set up the camera for Bryson. So basically, you couldn't even see where he was hitting. It was like, what's going on? It was like a
face-on of Lee Westwood, wasn't it? And a down the line of DeChambeau. Yeah, and it's just to see a guy who gave a very, very, you know, classy interview in that he was, he was lauding praise on Bryson, saying it is very impressive and fair play to the guy. He's worked really hard at it. And just, he wasn't asked a jot really about his own game, but didn't come across at all bitter or negative or anything. Just as you say, Sam, looks like he's really, really enjoying his golf at the moment and in a great place. And like, hopefully he goes on and wins something on the PGA Tour. It'd be good to get another horrendous Azinger clanger. But yeah, fingers crossed.
I think we give it time. Do you think monkeys and typewriters?
Do you think when Bryson was hitting those 370-yard drives down there and Lee's taking it right, you know, that Azinger's saying to himself, those Europeans, they can't win on this tour. They're just really bottling it.
From Yorkshire, I never knew that.
Just have a quick word about the woke generation. They're going to like the firm and fast nature of Bay Hill. Looked good, didn't it? I thought it looked like it was a good test that Sunday. looked a difficult test out there.
It's clearly hard. It doesn't look like a particularly enjoyable golf course to the
the
amateur to play.
Oh, really,
I don't. Yeah.
I thought you said something this time last year. You're like, didn't look that hard, and you reckon you could going off for a score there when Hatton.
Oh, I see what's happened here. This is like some sort of like tag team individual discussion. Let's get Sam on some soundbite. I think I said it didn't. I was in a particularly rich vein of form with my golf then, actually, and I felt like I could knock flags out on demand. I haven't hit a golf ball for 3 months, so it looked a little bit tougher. It didn't look fun. That's the point I'm making. It looked pretty flat. Courses like Riv look sick, don't they? And I actually thought the concession looked very good. I thought it
looked like you could lose a ball.
Step down of a golf course
at Bay Hill, really.
You could lose a ball at Bay Hill.
There's a lot of water, granted, but I don't know if they looked like loads of holes that were really, really penal in that you couldn't bail out.
I mean, it's easy for the scratch handicapper who hits it sort of 360, with ease off the tee to say. Anyway, look, we digress, and you talked then, Tom, about strokes gained. And the performance and the relative performance of putting and approach and stuff at Bay Hill. I think it's a good segue, certainly a 7 out of 10 segue into the Players, which famously produces an eclectic series of winners, has never had a back-to-back winner. Again, the statos that kind of circle around the media and provide a lot of this insight and will be no doubt trotted out this weekend is that winners have prevailed with like blisteringly good putting performances. Rory won with a fairly incredible strokes gained approach game that week in 2019. There's a whole gambit of different winners with different strengths in the field. So it's quite an interesting course in that respect. So it feels pretty wide open. What's the consensus going into the Players?
I think first and foremost for me, it feels like we're at a turning point, in the virus and stuff, because it was 1 year ago that it all cataclysmically dissolved. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, coming out now to the Players, it's allowed, there's fans back, and, our golf is like, 2 and a bit weeks away. And I feel like it's a really lovely time because the sun's starting to shine and Players is back. And it feels like they're starting to turn a corner, which is really quite nice. But to answer your question, I think it's an interesting one if we were to make picks, I think, which we're going to do towards the end. Because it's an odd one. It's a hard one to pick, I think. There's a lot that can, affect the way that you choose this one. But what do you think,
Bruce? Someone outside top 50's won just as frequently as someone inside top 10. Sorry, go on, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, talking of penal golf courses, Sawgrass looks like it's firmly in that category. And regarded as having a pretty much kind of make or break finish, really, in 16, 17, 18, like huge risk reward par 5, really difficult shot into 17 if the wind's blowing. And then you've just got to hit the gutsiest tee shot of your life down 18. So, I can see how it does produce drama and it produces maybe some surprising winners, but also some firm favourites, like the fact that Adam Scott's won there, Sergio's won there, Stenson, Tiger, obviously, like so many great players over the years. It's it's the flagship event. So as far as picks are concerned, I feel like it's always a kind of a fool's errand, really, isn't it, to go and go out on a limb and try and pick someone in this case. But yeah, I mean,
I've got a question. Like, if the majors didn't exist and they came out now and said, okay, well, but we should probably make 4 events, like flagship events. Do you think the Players would go over the PGA? Because I have, as a viewer, as a spectator of the sport, I enjoy the Players more than I enjoy watching the PGA.
Why though?
Yeah.
Why would you say you enjoy it more than the PGA? Because of the familiarity of seeing the same course?
Possibly.
Where you're like, I know what's going on there, or
it's always
the drama.
It's always an uber strong field. You know exactly what you're getting at Sawgrass, where obviously with the PGA moves around, and they've started to go down this route of like making the PGA like ultra penal and long, and just hitting like making driving accuracy and length a premium. And it's just, I just don't get excited watching the PGA. I think it's the fourth major in my opinion. And I do get excited watching the players. So
I think you'd say the Open's the fourth major, probably. But
I'd say the Players is as penal as any PGA setup, though. Really, maybe not as long. You've had people like Webb Simpson win at the Players, where it's hard to envisage someone like him or a Kisner win at like a 7,600 yard PGA course, which I guess is increasingly becoming the norm. But yeah, I mean, the Players does have the highest strength of field, I'm pretty sure, of any event in the world. I think that's well known. It has the highest strength of field. So that in itself is a reason for it being the flagship event and it being, the kind of fifth major in golf. Yeah. I get your point about the PGA. Where's the distinction there? Like, what makes that interesting?
It's also, I think, with the Players, you are, like you said about the finishing stretch, you're guaranteed drama down Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, someone could be 3-4 shots ahead, and you've still got that hope. It keeps you clinging that something can happen that's really going to flip it, which I find really interesting, and it keeps me as a viewer.
I think there's great theatre, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's the fact of the matter is there's great theatre around it. It's that kind of the spring. I think that's a good move. It's moved in the schedule, has it?
Yeah. It used to be after the Masters in May, didn't it? And now
I think this is a good time. It's like sort of feels like a bit of a watershed moment in the season, certainly from where we're sat, and probably in the States where a lot of those guys spend much of the winter under snow and ice. And yeah, I think it's a great event. I kind of agree with Tom. If I'm honest, it's if you were going to reel off the top four events of the year, you'd be putting the Open, US Open, Masters and Players into that category. I think it's it's a really exciting event. I mean, who wins? Like, all bets are off. I think there's so many people bringing in so much good form. It's got the potential to be a blisteringly good tournament.
Just before we pick off our winners, about our picks and have a little chat about that. Sorry to bring it back to the fridge, but do you think that was just this hype about going down the first on 18 for Bryson is just all bravado, or do you think he was actually going to try and take it down the left-hand side of the water on 18?
Well, they brought in a rule, didn't they? So they brought in a rule. I wasn't aware that DeChambeau was maybe. Are you saying, Tom, that he was indicating he was going to take it left down 18? Did he say that explicitly, or did he tease that out? Yeah,
he has said that he was going to certainly investigate going down the left of the water on 18 and just blasting it down there as far as you can, and then going in from there. But I mean, I look at it. I mean, I'm not a professional golfer. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty close, but I'm not there. But I look at it like, okay, well, you're bashing 350 over water, and now you've got a from the rough, tricky 60-yard pitch over water. It doesn't seem like a route that he would actually choose, but I think he was just trying to, what we said before, brand Bryson and trying to just cause some headlines and things like that. But the PGA Tour have reacted, and they've turned all that into internal OB, which is Sam's favorite thing in the world.
Well, I think it's a disaster, isn't it? I think we ran a poll on the story, and it was pretty evenly balanced in terms of, is this a good decision or not? I think it's madness. Like, when it gets to that point, you are by default admitting there is a problem, aren't you? So when you do that, you are admitting that there is a problem with it, and therefore the defense then is to penalise a subset of 5 golfers ish that can do it. Like, and probably even then, it's not guaranteed. It's not the play.
Probably one, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like, what's the point? And the whole thing with this debate is Bryson is longer than the other people in the field. By rolling back technology or putting in rules to prevent that one or those small, let's say it's 5 players that can do it, that's a pretty disproportionate ruling, isn't it? Where it's not necessarily it's not a fair ruling, at the very least. You're just penalising one person, and is that now how we go about doing it? So, like, what do we do? So do we start sort of, saying, well, hole anything outside of 40 foot, it doesn't count. So Jordan Spieth, you're too streaky with a putter. Like, that's 2 putts now, Jordan. This is getting out of hand now. Your ability with a flat stick is starting to embarrass the rest of the game. It's fucking ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just overhyped. And, I'll go out on a limb here, but DeChambeau's not going to go and win all 4 majors this season or necessarily go and win the FedEx Cup. Like, it really was not that long ago. People were talking about how difficult it's going to be to knock DJ off the top spot. I'm pretty sure even now he has a very, very healthy lead at the top of the official World Golf Rankings. Official World Golf Rankings. So, like, it's so
singular
weird
term.
To see,
it's the official World Golf Ranking.
It's just so weird to see how, like, the golf media cycles just, like, they have such kind of short memories, and it's just going from one hysterical take to the next from week to week. And I think, like, with DeChambeau, it's like, he obviously won the US Open at Wingfoot last year. Then he went and had an absolute meltdown at the Masters. Then we didn't really hear from him for a couple of months, wasn't doing lows. And then all of a sudden he's come and won at Bay Hill. It's like, why? I think it's poor that the PGA Tour have just seems to have gone with a knee-jerk reaction, just said, right, let's just make that internal out of bounds. Unless, and I'd be willing to be corrected if it's done for some safety reason or pace of play reason or some other logistical issue. But if it's literally just like, no, we don't want to see how that plays out, let's just stop him from even entertaining that line, I think that's a really, really poor take. Because
I think we're just a few steps away from saying, like, Bryson, the gym, it's out of bounds, mate. And protein shakes, they're out of bounds as well. You just need to really dial this back because this is getting silly. Like, you can't just be stronger and fitter and hit the ball further than everybody else. It's not fair.
Well, unless they've done it for a legitimate safety reason, in which case, or some other concern. I mean, it's, it's entirely possible that people are just focused on it through the lens of Bryson, and actually there's some other reason there. What's the capacity of fans that they're bringing back? I mean, it's not like fans would be over there, is it?
I think I've read 25%. I think they're looking to get 25% capacity.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not fully in possession of all the facts, but it doesn't seem. Yeah, I think we're in agreement. It doesn't seem like a particularly good move.
Anyway, so let's move on, and I think we need to pick some picks for this and wrap it up because we want to pick some picks so they're picked well.
I'm going to go straight out on a limb.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a few people that are going to silence some critics this week. Well, who have the potential to, who are bringing in some white hot heat.
White hot
so
heat.
We'll edit that out.
No, we won't. Carry on.
Oh, I feel like I've really stumbled over some words this podcast. Maybe it's just we were over caffeinated.
They're bringing in white heat to this tournament. I think we've got McIlroy could potentially silence the critics who keep saying he's never going to win. Like, this is, he doesn't look like capable of getting it done. Finau, another really obvious one there. And then Jordan Spieth would be the ultimate win. So I'm going with heart over head here. Clearly, the sensible bet would be DJ's the best player on the planet. When he's on form, he looks untouchable.
We're not allowed to pick DJ. We're not allowed
exactly.
to pick him.
But I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna go with McIlroy. I'm gonna go with Finau, and I'm gonna go with Spieth.
Fair, Thomas.
I'm gonna go tiny bit sort of less obvious than Sam. I'm gonna go sort of long odds. And these are long odds that I'd probably put each way on, and I think, I get some money back on these boys. Bezuidenhout,
strong. I like that a lot.
On a very good run of form. He is starting to hit the ground running out in the US. I think he gives some value back in terms of if you put some bet on him. I'm going to go with Hideki Sam, because he was leading the Players last year before they abandoned it after round one. So I'm going to go, Hideki picks up where he left off. And I think Jon Rahm's going to bring some form. That's not long odds. But I think Jon Rahm.
Say Rahm.
I think Rahm is going to bring some form. Wasn't
Mills' third pick out of, we're not going to go top table. We'll just go for the world number 2 on that one. Okay.
No, but it was Rahm 2 years ago when he had that complete brain fade, wasn't it? Like, that was the Players, wasn't it? Where he tried to
Yeah.
Tried to rope hook a 5-iron from 230 over water.
And then berated his
off a
caddy
downhill
for making him
line.
feel uncomfortable about it. I'd love to see how Michael Corella was responding to him over that shot value.
God damn it, Michael.
So there.
I like those picks. I'd love to see Hideki do good. It felt like he was cheated out of potential players win, didn't it, last year?
He was. I think he was a couple of strokes in the lead as well. Like I certainly think that long odds wise, I haven't checked their odds, but Bezuidenhout and Hideki, I think would be pretty good bets if you're going each way. Rahm, I think he can do well if he's not had the best switch to Callaway, is he? So it's a bedding in thing with new kit, isn't it?
He's just too busy reinventing the science of speed. I'm afraid it's a hugely time-consuming task, and just looking at those commercials, it's
well, the hyperbole is tough to keep creating, isn't it? Really, and I suppose that's probably weighing on his mind. Once
you've pushed technology beyond humanly possible, I mean, how do you push it further again? And they were doing that a couple of years ago. So
Rahm's spending too many nights, coding in the lab, I think. So hopefully he can recover his form. But
what do you think, Bruce? Who's your picks?
Yeah, I'm not going particularly wacky here. I'm just going to go with a few fairly safe ones, I think. Well, not safe, but I think sensible. Hovland, I think, looks remarkably good over the last few weeks, if not months. He's looking like he's playing some really good stuff. And I just feel like he could get it done on the biggest stage of them all, and that would be a brilliant statement to make. That it's not just Colin Morikawa who's out there all guns blazing. So Victor, I think, could be a potentially sensible choice there. Cantley as well.
Ooh,
I think
a good pick.
Yeah, just flies under the radar, but just seems to excel under the highest of pressure. And I think he could just do something this week. Remind us how good he is.
He's still top 10 in the world.
Huh?
He's still top 10 in the world.
Yeah,
I know,
but you just don't really. I don't know whether there's that much coverage of him. He's just a bit of a stealth bomber, isn't he? Just kind of like
it's amazing.
Flies under the. You don't really get. He doesn't really get that much attention. And then my third pick, kind of one from the heart, but he did put up.
Sorry. Do you know when the last time Cantley was out of the world top 10?
18 months ago.
It was the Memorial Tournament 2019. That's June 2019.
About 18 months.
What? Yeah, mate, you wouldn't bet that, would you? Yeah. So
let's have that on the record. I got that spot on.
Yeah, June 2019.
You seem to have skipped over that there.
It's fantastic that you've got notes prepared in advance on all.
I've got no notes on historic OWGR performance. It was a shot in the dark, and it came good. Anyway,
sorry, I've interrupted. I was so shocked.
Flying squirrels and acorns. Here we go. One from the heart from Bruce.
My third pick, one from the heart. He's still kind of a top ranked player, but not been doing loads recently. However, he did put up on his Instagram, I'm pretty sure, every long shot he hit in his practice round at the Players. And I mean, some of the sounds that those iron shots are making, and just how good his swing looked. He seemed to be playing from the fairway on every bloody hole. Adam Scott.
Yeah, so, he had an okay good at Riviera, didn't he? He played.
He had an okay what?
Good. Okay, good.
He had an okay good. Yeah,
he had a good round at Riviera. He had a good tournament at Riviera. He was.
Given we've lost the ability to form.
I'm a new dad.
I'm a new
dad. Leave me alone.
We're all sleep deprived.
And I like the fact that Bruce has finally latched onto the fact that Adam Scott has quite a tidy looking swing. I think that's been the case throughout his career. But I think it's a good pick. Again, he's bringing in some form, isn't he? Well, there you go. And if you're listening to this podcast on either Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or any time during Sunday, and all nine of those have missed the cut, then you have full permission to unsubscribe from this podcast and go and find something that brings a bit more integrity to it. But there we are.
As always, guys, if you've got any comments or thoughts, please do get in touch on @CookieJarGolf, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And until then, we will speak to you next time.
Watch this.